You hear me? 5 minutes, then you're out. You're not authorized, you're wasting my time. Hand over that phone now. Get out of my branch, bleep.
Marble lobby. A manager points across the counter. You have 5 minutes. Security watches. The black CEO sets her phone on the stone. Camera light on. Voiceover. Which policy? Show me. Scan the badge. He doesn't. A placard reads, guests only. She doesn't argue. She documents. On screen 05 Ling 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 58. Intercom chimes. A teller whispers, her badge red green. The manager doubles down. She breathes once. 5? She turns the phone to the speaker. More than enough. Title card. One call later. Audio bed cuts. Beat of silence. Then operations, legal log, everything. Marble floors. Brass letters on the wall. Morning traffic hums through the branch. A manager plants an elbow on the counter and points across at the woman in a tailored suit. You have 5 minutes, he says. Security watches from near the glass doors. A teller peeks over a monitor and then looks down again. The black CEO does not answer right away. She sets her phone on the stone counter. The camera light is on, small and steady. She aligns the microphone toward the manager. Which policy blocks me? She asks. Show me. Scan the badge. She slides her badge forward with 2 fingers. He does not touch it. His jaw tightens. He repeats himself and adds visitor policy. A small placard nearby says, guests only, in oversized letters. The phone screen fills with a timer. 5 minutes becomes 4 minutes 58. The intercom gives a short chime from the back office. A printer wakes and then goes quiet. The manager waves to security. Please escort her to the lobby, he says. She is disrupting operations. She remains still. I am not raising my voice, she says. I am asking for the policy and for a scan. She taps the phone once. A quiet sound starts like a metronome under the soundtrack. Customers begin to notice. A couple near the new accounts desk steps back to give space. A child points at the screen as the numbers drop. A woman with a business folder lifts her own phone. Not for a scene, only to be ready if the room turns. A teller speaks just above a whisper. Her badge read green this morning. I saw the audit flag set for today. The manager ignores him. He leans closer to the CEO, palm out. If you do not leave by the end of that timer, we will have you removed, he says. She breathes once, slow. She places her other hand flat on the counter to steady the phone. Then she answers with calm cadence. 5 is plenty. She hits the speaker and one touch dials operations. The ring is crisp. It cuts through the background chatter. Ops picks up. Branch and timestamp, the CEO says. Recording and logging. This location needs a standards check. The line clicks as a second party joins. Legal here. What is the issue? The CEO does not narrate emotions or opinions. She lists artifacts. The manager refused to scan a valid badge. The display indicates guests only at a business counter. Security called without policy citation. Timers at 4:20, CCTV, access logs, and teller testimony are available. Ops speaks in a level tone. Confirm badge ID. The CEO reads the numbers. The teller nods and turns a screen so the camera can catch the green icon. The manager reaches to block the shot with a folder. The CEO does not pull back. She keeps the phone steady. The voice of the speaker is clear. Do you want proof of the system? It asks. The room goes still for a beat. The countdown ticks at 4:10. The manager says this is a private area. The CEO answers with precision. I am a board representative here for a scheduled standards audit. You can check the calendar entry and the access log. The timer shows 4 minutes even. The child whispers to his parents. She sounds like the boss. The parent shushes him gently. Ops and legal speak almost in unison. Bring the branch dashboard online at the counter. The teller complies and reaches for the branch tablet. The manager starts to object and then stops when security hesitates. The tablet connects. A push notification flashes. Audit in progress. The tablet displays the scan history from earlier that morning with the badge ID and timestamp. The microphone on the phone captures the beeps. The truth sits on the screen, simple and unadorned. The The CEO keeps her tone flat. Evidence beats volume. The manager tries again, saying the policy is clear. Which one? She asks. Read it. Page and section. Silence. The timer rolls to 3:25. The watching customers shift into a soft semicircle that leaves a clear path behind the CEO. No raised voices, no rush, just space for the process to work. She gives one final line to end this first beat. Operations. Legal. Log everything. Then she lifts the phone half an inch so the microphone can catch the room tone. The intercom chimes again from the back office. The moment hangs there, balanced between the countdown and the call. The camera holds on the manager's hand, hovering over the tablet and on the green icon that refuses to turn red. The timer sits at 3 minutes 20. The room noise thins. Operations asks for a quick roll call. Branch number, floor lead, on-duty security. The teller answers first and gives his name and role. The manager hesitates, then states his title and spells his last name. Security gives badge numbers and shift time. Legal asks for a calendar check. Is there a standard audit on today's schedule? The teller pulls up the shared calendar. Yes. 9:30 to 11. Board liaison listed as primary contact. The screen reflects onto the counter. The entry shows the CEO's name. The manager tries a different angle. He says the policy changed last week. He says visitors must wait in the lobby until a host arrives to escort them. He calls it a safety measure. Legal asks for the updated policy number and effective date. The manager gives a number that does not exist. The teller scrolls. The real update was 3 months ago, and it covers vendor escorts, not board representatives, not internal audits. Operations asks the manager if he completed his quarterly compliance refresher. The records show he deferred it twice. 2 customers step aside, so a clear line of sight opens from the tablet to the phone camera. The child from earlier watches the countdown like a game clock. 2:58, 2:57. The CEO keeps her tone even. She adds more artifacts. She notes the guests only placard at a business counter. She notes the refusal to scan a badge that is active. She notes the call to security with no citation. Operations asks the teller to run a quick scan now. The manager starts to block again. Security does not move. The teller scans. The device beeps. Green. The phone microphone picks it up. Legal asks the manager to state his reason for the attempted block. The manager says, fraud risk. He says the badge could be stolen. He says the photo looks similar but not exact. Operations asks for the photo on file to display. The teller displays it. It matches. The CEO turns the phone a hair to capture the screen. Legal asks the manager if he wants to revise his statement. He folds his arms and says he stands by it. 2:20 on the timer. Operations asks for building access logs. The back office pulls them up. The CEO's badge shows entry at 8:56. The manager's badge shows entry at 9:22. The system notes that the CEO requested early access for audit setup. The manager had not reviewed the note. Legal asks for a note on cause. The teller types, the manager refused to scan. Incorrect policy cited. Called security. Claimed fraud with no discrepancy on file. Badge validated. The CEO uses a line that drops the temperature without softening the facts. I am here for standards. I am not here to embarrass anyone. I need this branch to meet the same bar as our others. That means clean logs, clean flows, and staff who can cite policy without guessing. She pauses. Do you want proof of the system? Operations says they do. The back office projects the training report onto a wall display. The manager is read on 2 modules. KYC annual, SOX controls, due by last Friday, not completed. The customers are quiet. The child whispers again, it is like school. The parent nods. It is like rules. You have to pass. Security shifts weight and focuses on the wall, not on the CEO. 1:55 on the timer. Operations lays out the branch process that should have happened. Greet, confirm role, scan badge, escort to a private space if needed. Bring up the audit checklist. No public confrontation. No labels. No guesses. Legal adds that labeling a board representative as a visitor without a scan is not caution. It is non-compliance. The teller glances at the manager with a face that is not smug, just tired. The manager tries again. He says the branch was busy. He says he was protecting the team. The CEO does not challenge the motive. She returns to proof. We have access logs. We have the calendar invite. We have the training gap report. We have a live scan. We have a teller witness. We have your words on the record. She tilts the phone so the mic can hear the timer tick. 1:38. Legal asks for a final check. Any incident reports this month tied to fraud impersonation? The back office replies, none. Any alerts from AML tied to this location this week? None. Any exceptions in cash handling? One minor variance adjusted the same day. Nothing else. The teller speaks up, voice steady. Ma'am, I can take you to the conference room. The checklist is ready. The manager interrupts. He says no one is going anywhere until he clears it. Operations speak over the speaker, firm but not loud. That is enough. Bring the dashboard forward. We are moving to a standard response. The countdown reaches 1:20. The room does not feel tense, it feels procedural. The CEO nods once. She does not smile. She does not gloat. She confirms her presence, her role, and the scope of the audit. Then she adds a simple line that sets the tone for what comes next. We will fix the system, not the blame. The timer hits 1:10. The wall display brightens. The branch is about learning what a standard response looks like. Operations shifts tone from inquiry to action. Bring the branch dashboard to the counter, open user permissions for front of house staff and the floor lead. The teller unlocks the tablet and mirrors it to the wall display so every step is visible. Legal asks the manager to step to the side while permissions are reviewed. He stays planted. Security clears a half step anyway, creating a lane between the counter and the screen. The countdown sits at 1 minute even. The dashboard shows user roles in a simple grid. Next to the manager's name, 2 flags appear: overdue training and policy acknowledgement pending. Legal asks a narrow question. Did you acknowledge the updated branch entry protocol? The manager says he clicked through. Legal asks when. He said last night. The audit trail shows no record. Operations marks the item open, not completed. The teller's profile shows current on all modules. The CEO does not comment. She lets the grid speak. Customers continue to hold a calm perimeter. The parent guides the child a few steps back to keep sight lines clear. The microphone on the phone picks up the faint tick of the timer and the soft beeps as each screen loads. Legal requests, branch calendar, proof of the audit. The invite opens. It lists the CEO by name with the manager copied. Read receipt shows unread. Operations adds a note to the incident log. The manager tries a pivot. He claims he suspected social engineering and chose to escalate. Legal asks for the escalation path used. He points to security. Operations clarifies that the path for suspected impersonation is to verify badge, check photo, and call the control line before any removal. That path did not happen. The teller confirms the badge was green on arrival. The wall display shows the green status again. The timer rolls past 50 seconds. Operations initiates a branch health check. Cache variances are normal. Transaction queue length is moderate. Customer wait time is rising due to the scene at the counter. Ops marks that as self-inflicted. Legal requests the audio from the initial confrontation. The intercom chime pings as the back office pulls the segment. It captures the moment the manager refused to scan and labeled the CEO a visitor. No raised voices, just certainty without process. 40 seconds. Operations asks the manager one last time to cite the policy by number. He cannot. Legal notes the failure and moves to containment. Step 1 removes the manager's ability to make customer-facing decisions for the rest of the day. The dashboard shows a permission change from full to limited. Security steps in, gentle but clear. Please step behind the line and wait in the office. He hesitates, then complies, jaw tight, eyes on the floor. 35 seconds. Step 2. Open a private room for the audit so routine banking can resume. The teller gestures to the conference room. The CEO nods but does not move yet. She keeps the phone aimed to capture the handoff. Operations tells the team to post a small notice at the door. Standards, verification in progress. Service continues. No dramatic signage, no blame language. The teller prints the slip and tapes it at eye level. 30 seconds. Step 3 gathers the artifacts for a complete record. CCTV clip, access scan, calendar entry, training report, statement from the teller and security. The back office starts the export. Legal adds a checklist item for customer care, offering fee reversals on affected accounts and concierge phone line for time lost in this window. The parent quietly thanks the teller for keeping things calm. The teller nods once and returns to the tablet. 22 seconds. The CEO finally speaks into the phone, more to the record than to the room. I am here for a standards audit. I was labeled a visitor without a scan. The system shows the correct status. We are proceeding with the audit. No further commentary. She lifts the phone slightly so the camera can frame the wall and the counter in one view. Operations asks for confirmation that the branch can route transactions to the neighboring location if needed. The system shows capacity available within a 2-mile radius. Ops prepares the route but does not trigger it yet. Legal authorizes a brief pause on non-essential services while the audit checklists load. The teller moves a small stack of forms aside and opens the checklist on the tablet. 15 seconds. The manager reappears at the office doorway. Security raises a hand and he stops. He says this will ruin his day. The CEO does not answer. Operations does. This will fix the branch. The child looks at the timer with wide eyes. 10 seconds. 9. Legal asks for one final verification. Is there any safety risk? Any volatile behavior? Any reason to evacuate? Security says no. The room is steady. The CEO closes the loop. Operations, legal, proceed. The timer reaches 0. Nothing loud happens. No alarms. Only the quiet shift from argument to process. The wall display switches to the audit checklist. Step 1 confirms identities in the room. Step 2, read the branch entry protocol aloud. Step 3, walk through the morning sequence on camera. The teller looks at the CEO for permission. She nods. The scene has changed without any theatrics. The system has the lead. The audit walkthrough begins with the simplest step. Reconstruct the morning. The teller reads from the log, 8:56, board liaison badge scanned at the front door. 8:57, camera 1 shows entry. 8:58, internal note created for standards audit setup. 9:03, the teller prepped the conference room with the branch tablet and the printed checklist. 9:22, the manager badge appears at the door. The wall display shows each timestamp with a small green check. Operations asks the teller to narrate the moment at the counter that led to the escalation. The teller recounts it plainly. The CEO presented the badge. I saw the green icon. I mentioned the audit flag. The manager said guests only. He did not scan. He asked security to move her back to the lobby. Legal thanks him and adds his statement to the record. The audio from the intercom plays back those exact beats. It is not dramatic. It is clinical. The CEO stands where she is, not in the center, but not hidden. She lets the camera frame the counter and the wall so that a viewer can follow the path from log to body to screen. She does not offer adjectives. She names objects: badge, timer, placard, tablet. It keeps the tone anchored. Operations directs the teller to bring up the policy library. Search for entry protocol. The list appears. The top item is the updated vendor escort rule from 3 months ago. The second item is the standard branch entry for internal staff and board representatives. It is unaltered. It requires a scan and an escort to a private space for audit work if needed. Nowhere does it allow a public label or removal without verification. The manager watches from the office doorway. He says he thought the changes were global. Legal notes that assumption and marks training refresh required. Customers drift back to their business as the flow stabilizes. A banker collects 2 deposit slips from a couple and indicates the ATM as an option while the conference room is prepped. No one leaves angry. The parent tells the child that rules are not about who you like, they are about what you can prove. The child nods as if he already knew. The branch tablet loads the audit checklist. Step 3 is the walkthrough. Show the morning sequence on camera. The teller plays the clip from the camera of one of the CEOs entering, and then the still of the badge scan at the door. The timestamp aligns with the access log on the wall. No gaps. Legal asks the CEO to state her role for the record, the scope of her visit, and her authority to request systems. She answers in a single sentence each. Board representative for a scheduled standards audit. Scope is entry protocol. Training compliance. customer experience safeguards, and record integrity. Authority under the board's quality mandate and the branch operations playbook. Operations confirmed. The manager asks from the doorway if the recording is necessary. Legal responds that the recording protects both the branch and the individuals. It preserves context, tone, and sequence. It removes guesswork. Security adds that recorded walkthroughs reduce future disputes by half. The manager says nothing more. Operations orders a soft reroute of non-essential transactions for the next 30 minutes to nearby branches and the mobile app. The system pings capacity as adequate within 2 miles. A small banner appears on the lobby display to keep customers informed. Service continues with minor delays. There is no close sign, only clarity. The CEO requests the training dashboard again. It shows the manager incomplete on KYC annual and SOX controls. Legal asks for the reason. He says the training portal glitched. The back office checks the ticket system. No report filed. Operations marks the modules overdue and schedules a remedial session with proctoring. The system assigns a temporary mentor from another branch for the next shift. The teller's record remains clean. Legal flags him as a candidate for standards liaison, given his composure and accuracy. Now the audit touches the human layer. Operations asks the floor to describe, in their words, how a day of standards should feel. The teller is predictable. Security says calm. The CEO is consistent. She adds that consistency is not the absence of judgment, but the presence of procedure. You do not have to like the step, you have to follow it. It is a line delivered without edge, and it lands because it is earned. Legal returns to the placard, guests only at a business counter. Who placed it? The manager says it was part of a decor refresh. Operations pull the signage policy. Guest language belongs in lounge areas and private events, not at service points. The placard is removed, photographed, and logged for corrective action. The counter looks cleaner, and more importantly, it reads correctly. The back office adds a short customer care protocol tied to this incident. Any client affected during this window can request a fee, reversal, or concierge callback. A code is created so tellers can apply it without debate. The parent hears this and smiles. Policy that helps the person in front of you. The branch feels different even before any verdict is read. The CEO keeps the phone steady. She gives one reminder for the record. Evidence beats volume. The system answers with another ping as the export completes. The stack of artifacts is now full. Calendar invite, access logs, CCTV, scanned beeps, policy library, training modules, signage photo, witness statements. Enough for any reasonable auditor. Enough to teach without shaming. Operations signals the transition. Walkthrough complete. Findings clear. The standard response is ready. The manager watches, small in the doorway now that the screen carries the weight. The teller straightens the checklist and waits for the next instruction. The room does not expect fireworks. It expects a process. And the process is coming. Operations pivots the display from walkthrough to findings. The checklist turns into a short stack of statements anyone in the room can understand. Entry protocol ignored. Badge verification refused. Incorrect signage placed at a service point. Training modules overdue. Escalation path bypassed. The teller's statement aligns with the logs. Security confirms there was no safety trigger. Legal asks for any mitigating factors on record. None appear. The CEO keeps the phone steady and speaks only to the timeline. Arrival at 8:56. Access granted. Audit flag set. Public confrontation began at 9:26. The record handles the rest. She does not dwell on tone, she names the steps. Operations adds timestamps to each finding, so the footage and the logs cross-reference cleanly. The manager asks if this is really necessary. He says he acted out of caution. Legal answers flatly. Caution follows procedure. Caution documents before it labels. Caution scans first. The words land because they are tied to what everyone has seen. Operations asks the manager to verify his understanding of the branch entry protocol. He looks at the floor. He cannot recite it. The teller, without performance, recites the 4 steps from memory. Greet, confirm role. Scan badge, escort to a private space for audit work. The room hears the difference. Operations opens the branch risk panel. It lists remediation options from light to heavy, coaching, shadowing, formal write-up, access limitation, temporary branch pause for recertification. Legal asks for a criteria check. How many material deviations occurred? Multiple. Did the deviation create reputational or compliance risk? Yes. Recorded. Is the training gap current? Yes. Are systems and signage aligned to policy? Not fully. The panel slides from yellow to red. The recommendation populates automatically. Temporary pause with compliance recertification. The title is clinical and the path is clear. The CEO looks to security, then to the customers within earshot. She speaks for the record, not for a headline. We are going to pause this branch for a short compliance reset. Nearby locations and the mobile app will absorb traffic. Fees will be reversed for anyone affected by this window. The parent with the child nods. The teller glances at the manager and then back to the tablet, ready to help with reroutes. Legal drafts the order and reads it aloud. Effective immediately, the branch will suspend non-emergency services to complete a standards recertification. Staff will be reassigned during the pause. Customer support will reach out to anyone delayed. The system pushes a notice to the lobby display and the website. It is not dramatic. It is consistent. Operations turns to access. Front of house permissions adjust with a single click. The dashboard shows the manager's role limited and his decision rights suspended pending training. Security escorts him to the office without posture or commentary. He tries to protest, but the protest has no oxygen left. The room has shifted from opinion to process, from noise to log. The teller remains at the counter and greets the next client to direct them to the mobile app or to the neighboring branch 2 miles away. The flow bends but does not break. The CEO asks legal to add one item to the order. Recertification timeline set at 14 days with a proctored exam and a shadow shift at a model branch. The system populates a calendar hold. She adds a second item, create a standing sign library so no one can improvise language at service points. Operations tags, facilities to remove the remaining incorrect placards before reopening. A small task, but the small tasks prevent the big failures. The phone captures each confirmation ding. Access logs updated, training modules assigned. Customer care code live. The concierge line staffed. The back office reads out the status lines, boring on purpose. Each one is a brick in a wall that keeps risk out. The manager returns from the office flanked by security. He says he can fix this without closing. Operations answers that the close is the fix. The goal is not to punish, it is to prevent repetition. Legal reminds him that the record now includes a refusal to verify, a misuse of signage, and a public label without policy. He says nothing. He signs the acknowledgement and the timestamp lands on the incident log. The teller addresses the customers now at the door with calm directions. We are conducting a standards reset. You can deposit at the ATM, use the app, or visit the Maple Street branch. If you were delayed, please mention code CARE1 at your next interaction. A few clients ask quick questions. No one raises a voice. The parent thanks the staff for the clarity. The child asks the only question that matters. Does this mean the rules win? The teller says yes. The CEO finally offers one line to the room, the same line she used at the start, but now it carries the weight of the file. Evidence beats volume. Then she turns back to the phone. Operations, legal, note the branch status is paused and the recertification clock started. She does not smile, she does not linger, the process runs, and that is the point. On the display, the branch map updates with a small gray overlay labeled Temporarily Closed Compliance Audit. It looks quiet and almost plain, that is, by design. Quiet is what standards sound like when they work. The pause order is live. Now comes the part most branches never see, because it usually happens off camera. Operations asks legal to open the standards response package. It is a simple template. Who, what, when, which controls, and the 3 actions. Terminate, freeze, log. The words look sharp because they are tied to steps, not emotions. Terminate first, not a firing line, a permission line. The manager's front of house decision rights are terminated for now. The dashboard reflects it. No customer-facing overrides. No policy calls at the counter. A supervisor from a nearby branch is assigned as acting lead. Security escorts the manager to complete an on-the-spot exit of the floor, not the company. He will train, test, and return only when he passes. It is precise. It is reversible by performance, not by pleading. Freeze is next. Freeze is about systems, not people. The branch's high-risk operations are frozen until recertification completes. Cash services continue in limited mode with dual control. Known essential functions route to partner branches and the app. The freeze timer appears on the wall display. 14 days. A link to training modules and a mentoring schedule appears on the manager's workstation. The freeze announcement goes to the internal portal and to regional leadership. Customers receive a clean message on the lobby display and in the app. No blame, only what to do next. Log is the quiet spine. Every artifact is pushed to the risk system and cross-referenced. Access logs, calendar invite, CCTV clip, scan audio, policy library, snapshot, training dashboard, signage, photo, statements. The package creates a case ID that the board can review. The system auto-notifies compliance partners and the insurer as required, not because anyone asked for a show, but because logs protect standards and people. The CEO narrates none of this for effect. She speaks to the record. Case ID assigned. Package complete. The freezing clock started. Acting lead installed. Care code active. She thanks the teller by name for the clarity and steady hand. He nods once. He does not step into the light. He steps into the work. A regional operations leader joins by video. She verifies the reroute capacity is holding, wait times are normalizing. She authorizes a small mobile team to help customers outside with the app. The parent and child exit past them. The kid gives a small thumbs up toward the teller. It is not applause. It is an acknowledgement. Inside the office, the manager signs the training acknowledgement. Legal offers a brief explanation of the path back. Complete the modules with passing scores. Shadow at a model branch for 2 shifts. Recite the entry protocol and show it in practice. Remove improvised signage and acknowledge the library. The timeline is set. No corners, no delays. He asks if this means everything he did today is in permanent ink. Legal says it means everything is accurate and time-stamped. If he learns and corrects, the record will show that too. Operations turn the room to aftercare. The teller is proposed for a temporary standards liaison role. Not a flashy title. A useful one. He will be the person who reads the policy aloud when the room is busy and people forget. The CEO approves, HR receives the note, a small bump in pay and a credit for the shift are entered. The teller does not celebrate. He starts printing the quick guides that will sit at each station. Facilities arrive to remove the remaining guest language. They replace it with neutral, correct signage. Service, business, app help, short words, clear meanings. The counters look cleaner. The message is cleaner. The CEO steps to the conference room for 5 minutes. She uses the board line to brief leadership. The summary is tight. Entry, protocol, failure. Training gap. Misuse of signage. Public label without scan. Remediation in place. Branch paused for recertification. Customer care is active. Truth keeper identified and supported. No injuries, no escalation. Board acknowledges. The call ends. Back at the counter, the last client of this window thanks the staff for the direction. The branch doors switch to a gentle mode, open for assistance, limited transactions. The atmosphere is not heavy. It is orderly. The story is not about a confrontation anymore. It is about a system that refuses to guess. The camera on the phone captures a final wide shot, the wall display with the gray overlay, the teller's clean checklist, the now empty spot where the placard used to sit. The CEO ends the segment with one low line meant for anyone who will watch later and run a room of their own. Policies are not weapons, they are maps. Follow the map. If you get lost, call for directions. Then she stops the recording. The light goes dark. The work continues. The branch moves into communication mode. Operations opens a simple message template for customers and staff. It explains the pause, the recertification window, and where to get help. No blame language, no spin. The teller reads it aloud once to check the tone. It is clear and short. Service continues in limited form. Mobile and the neighboring branch can handle the rest. Legal asks the back office to surface any prior flags related to signage or entry confusion. The system pulls one note from a month ago about a temporary sign that caused mixed messages during a weekend event. No incident then, but the pattern matters now. Facilities add a preventive task to the regional checklist. Do not improvise signs at service points. Use the library. Replace worn or vague displays on a set schedule. One small fix becomes policy, not preference. In the office, the manager sits with a training advisor on video. He is tense but listening. The advisor walks him through the 4-step entry protocol and the why behind it. It is not a guessing shield. It is a verification path. Verify, then decide. The advisor does not lecture. He sets a test time and a shadow shift at a model branch where the routine is disciplined and quiet. He explains that the record will include remediation, progress, that line matters. It shows the path back is performance, not favor. The CEO steps to the lobby to meet 2 clients who waited through the transition. She thanks them for their patience and gives them the concierge card with the care code. One asks if the bank is safe. She answers that safety is standards and standards need proof. They nod. They do not need a speech. They needed a straight line from problem to remedy. Operations brings the teller the standards liaison badge insert. It is not a promotion party, it is a role. He attaches it to his lanyard and returns to the counter. He will be the person who reads the policy aloud when the room is loud. He will be the person who points to the right step when stress suggests shortcuts. The CEO thanks him by name again, not for loyalty, but for accuracy. The wall display shifts from incident to plan. Day 1 through day 14. Day 1 export and containment. Day 2 signage swap and training assigns. Day 3 model branch shadow for the manager. Day 4 through 7 module work with proctor. Day 8 retest. Day 9 through 12 peer coaching and dry runs at the door. Day 13 internal mock audit. Day 14 recertify. The schedule is visible to anyone who cares to look. That openness is part of the corrective action. It keeps the work honest. Legal reviews the statements one more time. Security noted no safety trigger. The teller documented each step and avoided adjectives. The manager's account is on record with a mistaken policy number and a claim of caution without verification. The system attaches the clips and marks the file complete for this phase. There is nothing dramatic left to add. The work now is disciplined repetition until the branch can be reopened without wobble. A regional leader stops by in person. She does not hold a press moment. She checks the reroute capacity on her tablet, nods to the teller, and speaks quietly with the CEO. She confirms that nearby branches are absorbing the flow and that wait times inside the branch have returned to normal for the limited window. She brings 2 quick wins from other sites: a laminated card for entry protocol kept at each station, and a short daily huddle script that names the standard, the common failure, and the reminder. It is simple. It sticks because it is repeated. The manager steps out to sign one more acknowledgement. He looks at the floor display. He sees his name on the training schedule and the retest date. He asks if the record will show that he completed the path. The CEO answers yes, it will show all of it. The mistake and the repair. He nods. It is not a relief. It is orientation. Outside, the mobile team helps 2 more clients set up app deposits. Inside, the teller guides a business owner to the neighboring branch for a wire and reverses a fee with the care code. The lobby feels calm again. The timer is gone. The sense of countdown has been replaced by a sense of calendar. Time is no longer a threat. It is a plan. The CEO records a short post for internal use. She states the case ID, the actions taken, and the next checkpoints. She thanks the branch team for shifting from argument to process and the customers for their patience. She ends with the same quiet line she used at the start because consistency is the point. Log everything. Then she taps to stop. The record is whole. The day does not end with applause. It ends with a checklist that fits on one page and a wall display that says temporarily closed compliance audit in small gray letters. The branch did not break. It bent toward its standard. That is what a fix looks like when you do not need a villain to learn the lesson. The afternoon shifts from incident to instrumentation. Operations bring up a live dashboard on the wall. It is simple on purpose. 4 tiles, customer reroute capacity, wait time, training completion, and case artifacts. The reroute tile shows green across the map within a 2-mile radius. Wait times inside the branch sit in the normal band for limited service. Training completion for this site is red, now paired with a calendar of fixes. Artifacts are complete, no one claps. They look, nod, and return to the tasks those tiles imply. The CEO asks the regional leader to mirror the same dashboard to 2 other branches with similar layouts. Not a punishment sweep, a standards check. She frames it plainly. Same map, same 4 tiles. Spot the wobble before it becomes a story. The leader agrees. A calendar invite goes out for quiet peer reviews. No headlines, just work. Legal loops in the ethics office on a short call. They confirm the case file meets retention and privacy rules. They add one suggestion that will matter later when memories blur. Capture a 2-minute debrief from each person who made a decision today. Not opinions, steps taken, and what they would do next time. The teller records him in the break room by reading from the checklist and the policy page. Security records this by listing the trigger he listened for and did not hear. The manager records his by reading the entry protocol aloud once, then saying the one sentence that marks a turning point. I will scan first, then decide. Facilities swapped the last stray sign, a small card at the business window that used a boutique word instead of the service name. The counter now matches the policy library. Words line up with steps. It is a small fix that prevents a long argument. The CEO signs off on a branch-wide signage photo log. 1 album per site, reviewed with the training modules each quarter. Visuals make standards stick. At 3 p.m., a model branch lead dials in to walk the team through the quiet version of today. She narrates the first 90 seconds of a proper entry with a rhythm you could teach to anyone. Greet, confirm role, scan, escort. She does it without an edge. She shows the escalation path for real impersonation. Verify against the photo, call the control line, move to a private space, document. No one argues. The pattern is obvious when you can see it. The CEO takes 5 minutes with the manager in the office without the camera. She does not relitigate. She maps the path back. Finish the training, shadow at the model branch, recite the protocol without a prompt, show it in practice. Sign the sign library. He asks if one mistake ends a career. She says one mistake recorded and corrected can carry a team for years. He nods. A sentence with no extra weight lands because it is accurate. Outside, the mobile team is steady. 2 more clients set up deposits by phone. One schedules an appointment at the neighboring branch for a wire using the kiosk. The concierge line takes 3 calls and closes them with fee reversals and a thank you for patience. The care code performs like it was built for this exact window, because it was. Communications sends the internal note that will travel farther than the branch. It is a 1-page case study with no names. It lists what went wrong, what the system did, and what to copy. It includes the 4-tile dashboard and a QR code to the signage library. It ends with a line that is now part of the brand whether or not anyone planned it. Evidence beats volume. By late afternoon, the branch feels ordinary. A client asks if the reset means new management. The standards liaison explains that it means clear training and clear signs, and that is what they will notice. Another client jokes that the countdown clock should stay as a reminder. The teller smiles without taking the bait. We prefer calendars to countdowns. Regional Risk reviews the case and pushes a light nudge to every location. Read the entry protocol at the morning huddle this week, photograph your service signs, and drop them in the album. Confirm the training tracker is green. If not, schedule it now. It is not a crackdown, it is maintenance. Standards are less dramatic when they are daily. Before leaving, the CEO walks the floor one last time. She stops at the glass where the gray overlay reads a temporarily closed compliance audit. She checks the edges of the sign to make sure it sits level and clear. She thanks security for keeping posture low and the room open. She thanks the teller for precision under pressure. She thanks the regional leader for moving quickly without making a show. She does not give a speech. She gives a sentence that loops the morning back to its starting point. When people overplay, systems speak. Our job is to make sure the system has a voice. She steps outside into the late light and calls the board line. The update is brief. Case ID, actions taken, freeze clock, next reviews. She adds one note the board will care about. A truth keeper surfaced. Promote and protect. The call ends, the phone goes dark. Inside, the process continues on the same quiet rails it should have ridden from the start. The morning after, the reset feels real. The branch opens in limited mode with the gray overlay still on the door. Operations begin with a 5-minute huddle in the lobby. No pep talk, a checklist, entry protocol, read aloud, signage library, verified on tablets, training tracker status. The standards liaison leads. He reads each item, points once to the counter where the placard used to be, and moves on. Staff nod, not because they agree, but because the steps are clear. Legal schedules a brief with regional HR. They map the manager's remediation path into the calendar. Module completion by day 7, shadow shifts on days 3 and 4, retest on day 8, observe door practice on day 10, final sign-off day 14. Each step gets an owner and a timestamp. The manager receives the plan, signs the acknowledgement, and asks one question that matters. If I pass every step, do I return to my role? Yes, with a written note that you did the work, not that someone waived it. The CEO reviews the case file once more and trims anything that looks like commentary. She keeps only artifacts and actions. A clean file moves best through an organization. She pushes the package to the board portal and tags it for the quality committee. She adds a 2-line summary for future readers who won't remember today's details. Entry protocol failure in public, training gap, misused signage, system response, terminate permissions, freeze operations, log everything, recert clock running. Mid-morning, a compliance partner joins by video to sanity check the pause. He confirms the freeze scope fits the deviations and reminds everyone that overscoping a freeze can cause downstream risk. Operations shows the reroute metrics. The neighboring branches are green. App adoption in the zip code spiked a modest amount. No overflow spikes. The partner nods and drops off. The room goes back to work. Communications drafts the outward-facing note for customers who were in the branch during the incident. It avoids blame, it provides next steps, and the concierge contact. It includes the care code and an offer to walk anyone through the app for routine tasks. The draft goes to legal. They approve with 2 edits for clarity. The message lands in inboxes by lunchtime. Replies are short and practical. Thanks for the explanation. Use the app. Fee reversed. The standards liaison pulls 2 colleagues aside between customers and walks them through a micro drill. He stands at the door. They approach with a scenario. He models, greet, confirm, roll, scan, escort. It takes 60 seconds. They switch roles and run it again. By the 3rd round, the steps have a rhythm. He doesn't correct with adjectives. He uses verbs: scan, read, escort, document. In the office, the manager sits with the proctor for the first module. The questions are not tricks. They test for sequence and judgment. A prompt reads, "A person claims board status without a badge. Steps." He answers to verify identity through a control line, cross-check the calendar, ask for proof without a public label, and move to private space. He passes the section and looks like he exhaled for the first time in hours. The proctor schedules the next module and reminds him the retest will be live in the lobby, not just on paper. The CEO holds a short call with the ethics office to close a loop on tone. She confirms that the internal case study will anonymize roles and that the public-facing message will avoid spectacle. She repeats the line that has become a spine in this story. The goal is not a public win. The goal is a reliable room. Afternoon brings a surprise benefit. A client who watched the scene yesterday returns with a colleague and opens a business account they'd been delaying. Their reason is matter of fact. If your process can correct itself on camera, we trust your back office. The standards liaison handles the account, reads the disclosures, scans the ID, and narrates each required step without flourish. The new client nods and says that the narration, not the marble, sold them. Regional operations widen the lens. They run the 4-tile dashboard across the district and flag 2 branches with minor signage drift. Facilities correct them inside the day. The dashboard goes green. No memos framed as blame, just a screenshot with a before and after. Before closing, the CEO records a 2-minute internal debrief. What would you copy? She lists 3 things. Read the protocol at the door every week, keep a live photo log of service signage, practice the escalation path when you're calm so you don't improvise when you're stressed. She ends with a line aimed at leaders who might overcorrect and build new walls where none are needed. Verification is not gatekeeping. It's the opposite. It lets the right people through fast and keeps records clean. The branch dims the lobby lights for the limited window as the day ends. The countdown clock never returns. The calendar does. The research schedule sits on the wall and on 3 devices. The manager leaves with a binder, a date, and a map back. The standards liaison leaves with a new habit to teach. The team leaves with a story that won't inflate in the retelling because the logs hold it to size. Outside, the CEO takes one last call to the board. She notes the day's quiet wins and the absence of noise. She uses the same closing sentence she has used all along because that is what culture sounds like when you mean it. Log everything. Day 10 arrives with a live retest at the door. No stage, no speech. The standards liaison stands beside the manager with a clipboard and a 1-page script. Operations observed on video. A volunteer from a neighboring branch plays the scenario, claims board status, no visible badge. The manager greets, confirms the role, checks the calendar, calls the control line on speaker, moves to a private space, and documents. He waits for the verification before offering access. The liaison checks boxes without commentary. Ops notes time on task, 85 seconds within standard. Legal signs on the test sheet. The camera captures the only line anyone needs. Verified, proceed. Inside, facilities completes the last signage audit. Every service point matches the library, photos stored, date stamped. The wall display shows the 4 tiles again. Reroute capacity green. Wait times are normal. Training completion flips from red to yellow to green as the manager passes the final module with a proctor. Case artifacts read complete, now with retest footage appended. The CEO joins by video for the day 12 mock audit. She says 6 words to set the cadence, read it, run it, record it. The team walks through entry, scan, escort, checklist. No one improvises language. When a customer steps in mid-mock, they pause, serve, return to the checklist where they left off. The rhythm looks like muscle memory rather than recital. Operations marks comprehension as observed, not narrated, the highest grade the system gives. Legal closes loopouts. The internal case study goes live on the intranet with all names removed and the steps bolded. It includes 2 short clips, the refusal to scan and the retest at the door. Side by side, no voiceover. The contrast sells the point. Procedures are faster than arguments. The ethics office adds a footer that will travel with future incidents. Terminate permissions, freeze operations, log everything. Then train. Day 13 brings the regional leader on site. She shadow checks, details people forget when stress fades. The control line number is posted near the station. The sign library QR is on the staff tablet. The daily huddle card sits under the keyboard. She asks the manager to recite the entry protocol while a client asks a quick question. He pauses the recitation, serves the client, returns to line 1, and finishes. She signs the research sheet. The standards liaison shows the quick guide he laminated for new hires. The leader nods once. Small, repeatable, portable. The CEO arrives for day 14, not for a parade, for a reopen with proof. She speaks to the team first, quietly. We fix systems, not people. People fix themselves when the system is clear. She looks to the manager. You passed the path you should have known. You'll hold the door standard for the next 30 days. Pair with the liaison and teach it until you're bored of your own voice. He answers, understood. Operations lifts the gray overlay on the door. The lobby screen changes from temporarily closed compliance audit to open standards verified. Customers filter in. The first client through the door is the parent from day 1, child in tow. The liaison handles their transaction and thanks them for patience last week. The child asks if the rules still win. The liaison says, they do when you can show them. The parent smiles and leaves a business card for a friend who needs a bank that won't guess. The board's quality committee joins by video for a 5-minute closeout. The CEO offers the compact summary they expect: entry protocol failure captured, system response executed, staff remediated, signage standardized, metrics steady, reopen authorized. She adds one more line: promote the truth keeper. The committee agrees. HR flips the liaison's role from temporary to permanent with a slight grade and pay bump. He does not make a speech. He orders 10 more laminated quick guides. Communications drafts a small external note for the region, lobby hours, app upgrades, and a reminder on identity verification steps for business clients. It reads like service, not spin. The metrics tile shows app adoption up modestly, fee reversals processed, complaints low, no crisis halo, just functioning pipes. In the office, the manager signs his recert completion and a short reflection. Scan first, then decide. He initially caps the sign library policy. He asks for one more copy of the huddle card to keep at home. The CEO hands him 2. Do the work when it's quiet so you won't guess when it's loud, she says. He nods, not out of gratitude, but alignment. Before she leaves, the CEO walks the same path as day 1. Door, counter, conference room, wall, display. She taps the tablet and pulls up the case ID. The file is whole. The ending looks like the start should have looked. No countdown, no pointing, just a standard read, run, and record. She gives the team a last sentence, the kind that travels. When policy is clear and logs are live, power looks like service. Then she steps out into ordinary light while the branch takes its first clean breath as a certified room again. Week 3, the ripple becomes structured. Regional operations roll the 4-tile dashboard to every branch on the map, not as a one-time sweep, but as a standing view pinned to morning huddles. Customer reroute capacity, wait time, training completion, case artifacts, tiles that once told a story now prevent one. Managers learn to glance and correct before friction finds a camera. The board's quality committee folds the case into a quarterly pattern. Each quarter, 1 live drill per district. Entry protocol read at the door. Scan demonstrated. Escort practiced. The drill ends with a 2-minute debrief, recorded on a phone and filed to the same case system. The ethic is simple. Prove the routine while it is quiet so it will hold when it is loud. The Truth Keeper's promotion becomes official. The standards liaison title goes permanent with a clean grade bump and a stipend to teach at neighboring sites. He builds a tiny toolkit that looks like nothing and works like a habit. A laminated entry card at each station, a sign library QR taped under each keyboard, a 1-minute audio file of the control line prompt so new hires recognize the cadence before their first shift. He does not become a mascot, he becomes a measuring stick. Legal and Ethics publish a short, anonymized case note to the firm-wide intranet. It carries no names and no adjectives. It leads with timestamps, the refusal to scan, the improvised sign, the escalation path that should have been used, the one that was used, and the corrective sequence. Terminate permissions. Freeze operations, log everything, then train. A regional banker prints that line and tapes it inside a drawer where only staff see. Culture spreads like that, folded small and used daily. Facilities finish, a gentle purge of boutique language. Lounges keep their mood in the right places. Service points use service words. Guests become businesses where money moves. The signage photo log goes live across sites. Random quarterly audits pull 3 photos from each branch at the push of a button. A person no one sees stamps, dates, and chases, fixes before a client has to ask what a sign means. It is unglamorous work. It is the point. The insurer reads the case file and sends a quiet nod in the form of a small premium credit if the dashboard remains green for 2 consecutive quarters. Risk measured, reward linked to evidence. The credit is not a headline, it is a line item that pays for more laminated cards and a few extra proctor hours. That loop, from standards to cost, makes the CFO an ally. Vendors feel the shift too. The access control provider is asked to ship a firmware tweak so the badge scan chime is louder in busy lobbies, and so the green icon can be mirrored to a wall display during drills. The policy library vendor adds a lock that prevents staff from saving personal sign templates in service folders. The friction points that fed the mistake are sanded down by design, not lecture. On the human side, the manager finishes his 30-day hold the door assignment with no drama. He reads the protocol until it is muscle, not memory. He escorts without flourish. He nods to the liaison during huddles and admits what everyone already knows. Scan first, then decide. His reflection note is added to the case as a closing bracket. Future readers will see the arc without needing gossip to fill the gaps. Community relations adds an outward layer that fits the brand. A free Saturday session called Open Standards Hour, where small business owners can see how identity verification works, what the app can do, and how to avoid delays. The liaison and the mobile team host it with a coffee urn and a projector. It is not a marketing stunt, it removes mystery. The parent from day one drops by and brings 2 friends. They leave with app setups and the sense that the rules are not arbitrary. The CEO resists every invitation to turn the incident into personal publicity. She answers requests with a compact line that she repeats until it becomes a bar. We do not do theater, we do standards. When asked internally what changed most, she says, nothing and everything. The map was already on the wall. We just started following it in public. By month end, the district's dashboard prints as a grid of dull greens. That is not complacency. It is friction removed, complaints dip, fee reversals steady at a lower baseline, wait times flatten. Internal transfers of bad habits slow because there is less room for improvisation where language and drills match. The ethics office charts the pattern and files it as evidence that clarity beats charisma in frontline control. Before closing, part 11, there is a private aftercare moment the camera almost never sees. The CEO sends a handwritten note to the liaison and to security. Thank you for naming steps, not people. She sends one to the manager too. Return to standard, teach it, keep it boring. He keeps the note under the huddle card. He will not quote it, he will do it. This is what systemic fallout looks like when the goal is dignity. The offending act was public. The repair is procedural. The lesson is portable. The line travels without shouting. Evidence beats volume. And now, in branch after branch, the proof arrives before the story ever needs to. Quarter close puts the new habits under outside light. An independent quality auditor arrives with a plain checklist and a camera. She is not here for a retelling. She is here to sample proof. She asks for 3 things without warning. A live entry drill at the door, the signage photo album from 2 random branches, the training tracker with red, yellow, green by roll. The team runs the drill on the spot. Greet, confirm, roll, scan, escort. The clock reads 80 seconds. The album shows photo dates and corrected tags. The tracker shows green with a few yellows scheduled this week. She nods once and moves to the next branch. The report will be short because the files are complete. The board's quality committee holds a quiet review. No speeches. They look at the 4 tiles district map. They look at fee reversal trends. They look at the complaint volume. They look at the insurer's small credit tied to 2 quarters of green. They sign a resolution that turns the field fixes into policy. Daily huddle card, quarterly signage, photo log, 1 live drill per quarter with a 2-minute debrief video filed to the case system. The line they write into the policy is clipped to what worked. Terminate permissions when the process breaks. Freeze operations to reset controls. Log everything so remediation can be traced. Then train until the drill is dull. Community Relations runs the second Open Standards Hour on a Saturday. Small business owners watch a live badge scan on a lobby display, set up app deposits, and hear what to expect when they bring a contractor or a vendor. The standards liaison runs it without flourish. The manager joins to explain the control line call and how it prevents delays. Questions are practical. How long does a scan take? What if the badge is worn? Where do I stand while you verify? The answers are short and specific. Seconds. We replace worn badges. Stand near the side window. People leave with fewer guesses. Legal and Ethics publish a 1-page internal case sheet for trainers. The sheet shows 2 still frames side by side. The refusal to scan, the retest at the door. Under each image sits the protocol text. The point is obvious because it is visible. The caption is a single sentence. Procedures are faster than arguments. The sheet ends with the contact for the standards liaison network so new hires can ask real questions and get real steps. Vendors continue to align. Access control increases the volume and clarity of the green chime. The policy library adds a forced read check on protocol updates so managers cannot click through without opening the page and scrolling. Facilities posts the sign library QR in the staff room under the huddle card. Nothing flashy, just fewer places to improvise. The district adopts a small ritual that does not need a poster. The first 5 minutes of Monday go to reading a protocol. Not to recite it like a charm, to remember it like a route. Staff trade roles. A teller plays a visitor. Security plays a branch lead. A manager scans a badge on the reader to hear the beep and see the icon. The body learns what the policy sounds like and where to stand when it matters. The CEO meets with the regional civil rights partner and a service quality nonprofit. She shares the anonymized case and the fixes that stuck. They suggest 2 additions that cost little and prevent heat. A visible path to escalate quietly if a customer feels mislabeled, and a small decal on the door that explains identity verification in plain words. The team agrees. The decal appears at eye level, not as a warning, but as a map. Verify identity to protect your account and speed your service. Staff will scan badges and check calendars, ask for a private space if needed. The escalation path sits on a small card at the concierge desk. It is used rarely. Its presence keeps the room calmer. Internally, the manager finishes his 30-day hold the door rotation. He keeps a private log of drills and small corrections. He writes one line at the end that does not ask for credit. Scan first, then decide. The CEO reads the line and files it under remediation complete. She does not campaign for his return. She assigns him to teach 2 huddles a week for a month. The habit holds when a former mistake can name the step without shame. The Standards Liaison Network grows by 3. They meet once a month on video to trade what worked. One site laminated the control line script so new hires recognize the cadence by sound. Another site placed the sign library QR on the home screen of staff tablets. Small tactics piled into shared muscle. The result is measurable. Wait times stay flat. Complaint tickets about entry drop, fee reversals tied to miscommunication, fall to background noise. The file that began as an incident now reads like a manual. Not a thick one, a few pages with pictures and clips and timestamps. Case ID at the top, a short chronology, the 3 actions, terminate, freeze, log, the training and the retest, the community hour and the decal, the insurer noted, the board resolution. The proof lives in links, not promises. Near the end, the CEO walks the same branch with no camera. The door is open, the overlay is gone, the counter is clear. The sign at the business window names the service accurately. The huddle card sits under the keyboard. The control line number is taped near eye level in staff view. She watches a greeting, a confirmation, a scan, an escort. It takes a minute. No one narrates it. No one needs to. The standard has become the room. She leaves a sentence on the whiteboard in the break room that sums the arc without drama. When the system is visible, dignity is automatic. Then she signs her initials and goes. Quarter rolls into the next without friction. The case that began at a marble counter becomes a pattern other rooms can copy without borrowing the drama. The branch runs as if nothing ever happened, which is the best proof that something did. The Standards Liaison keeps the Monday 5-minute drills short and useful. Greet, confirm role, scan, escort, staff rotate, speaking parts. A new hire times herself from door to desk and smiles when the green chime lands at under a minute. No one applauds. That is the point. Regional Operations ships a tiny update to the 4-tile dashboard. A 5th tile appears only during drills. It tracks how many teams recorded a 2-minute debrief that week. The number turns from novelty to routine in a month. The insurer nudges the premium down one more notch. Money following evidence again. The CFO notices, but not loudly, which makes everyone else more comfortable noticing too. The manager's reflection sits in the case system beside the retest clip. It reads like a checklist, not a confession. Scan first. Verify quietly. Use the control line. Move to a private space. Do not label what you have not proven. He has led 6 huddles with the liaison since the reopen. The 2 of them form an odd pair. Not a poster, just two people who can speak a protocol out of their lungs without notes. When the lobby gets loud, they lower the volume by reading the steps out loud. The room follows because the script is the same every time. Community Relations invites the CEO to a small business breakfast. She chooses a short format. She explains that the bank learned not because someone shouted, but because every beat was captured. She shows one still frame of the refusal to scan beside one still frame of the retest. No voiceover. The room understands. A shop owner asks how this helps them. She says standards remove arbitrary pauses and protect the line in front of you. Fewer arguments, faster service, fewer surprises. People nod and return to coffee and calendars. The board folds the district's progress into the quality report with a one-line conclusion. Procedures demonstrated on camera, recertification completed on schedule, signage aligned, training green, customer impact mitigated. They underline the part that matters for the next quarter. Keep it boring. Cultural change that ends in fireworks, usually ends. Cultural change that ends in habits, travels. 2 months later, a neighboring city has a moment that rhymes with the original. A visitor is told a rule that doesn't exist. The difference now is the body language of the staff. The teller says one sentence that reroutes the day. Let's scan and check the calendar. The green icon appears. A control line call confirms. They shift to a private space. No spectacle. The manager writes a short note to the district channel. The system saved us from ourselves today. The CEO sees it and replies with 2 words, well done. Across the network, facilities post their first quarterly photo album of service signs. 3 tiny mismatches surface and get fixed within the day. The album closes with a slide that will prevent a dozen future frictions. Use service words at service points. Save lounge words for lounges. It sounds almost too simple until you watch a line move because the labels match the steps. The standards liaison network expands again. They exchange one-page tools that make routines stick. A staffer in a high-volume branch records the sound of the control line IVR so new hires learn the cadence without fear. Another site prints the entry protocol on a narrow strip that slides under the keyboard and peeks out. Small aids in plain sight. The CEO skims their shared folder and leaves a note that travels farther than a directive. If this helps one person hold the door right once, keep it. The narrative never returns to a finger pointing in a lobby. It doesn't need to. The symbol now is a timer that no longer counts down and a map that everyone reads by default. Customers notice in a quiet way. They stop telling stories about being told to wait in the wrong line. They start telling stories about a staffer who knew their job and let them through fast because the check was quick and clear. On a gray morning that looks like any other, the CEO walks through the branch that ignited the change. The door glass is clean. The decal at eye level explains identity verification in plain language. The control line number sits where only staff can see it. The huddle card is nicked at the corners from being used. She stands at the counter for a minute and says nothing. The green chime sounds from the reader as a vendor arrives for a meeting. The manager greets, confirms, scans, escorts. The liaison resets the tablet for the next client. The room hums like a machine that was tuned, not replaced. She leaves a short note in the staff room and signs the date. When people overplay, systems speak. Make sure yours can be heard. Then she adds the spine that carried this story from a confrontation to a standard. Terminate when permissions get misused. Freeze when controls wobble. Log everything so the fix travels. The ink dries and the note folds under the huddle card with the others. Not as a trophy, but as a tool. Quiet power holds. The map is on the wall. The room knows how to read it.